a little bit more about it in detail. But what this particular grout is a two-part, 100% solids epoxy. Now, I was talking to this gentleman a while ago, and he says that he absolutely loves epoxy. The old school's tile where you have part A, part B, and the powders. So we're going to get his opinion. What do you think? You don't like it? What is it you don't like about epoxy grout? Cleanup, okay. How about its workability? You like the fact that you have to keep drenching it, pushing it in the grout joint, you know? Anybody else here work with epoxy grout and absolutely love it? No? No takers, huh? Okay. Well, let me talk to you a little bit about this particular product. This is, again, like I say, it's a 100% solids epoxy resin. It's not a hybrid, it's not a fortified powder type mix. And it's simply a two-part mix. It is a part A and part B. If you look, Ben, why don't you go and give me a bucket and a catalyst unit. We'll show you all about that here in just a second. The idea behind epoxies is to give you the most stain resistance, the most wear resistance, abrasion resistance, chemical resistance grout that you could possibly get out for your jobs. 9 times out of 10, they're spec for commercial applications, dairy farms, hospitals, refineries down where I'm from in Texas. We use it everywhere, basically. And so it's designed to give you the ability to have a very hard surface to work with. Once it's cured, it can take a lot of abuse. The fact that the installers take a lot of abuse putting it in is what drives a lot of guys away from this particular product. What you see here is a large unit, large 2-gallon unit. This particular size right here is the base unit. And what we've done is we've taken the majority of the sand out of this base unit and put it in post-consumer glass beads. What that does is gives you a very, very unique set of qualities with this particular product that we're going to talk about towards the end of the demonstration. But you mentioned cleanup. Cleanup is a big issue with epoxy grouts. Most of the time when you're working with a 3-part grout, we have to add a bag of powder to it. It's a cement type blend powder, which makes it really hard to clean up. Makes it very stiff to work with, makes it very hard to clean up. And so we want to make sure we took that away and gave you one that was performance driven to the point where you guys will like the way it works, okay? So here's the way this particular product works. You have a part B, you have your body resin and your aggregate already pre-measured for the amount of catalyst it will need. You have your part A, which is a color unit, and your catalyst or your resin activator. So you basically mix your part A and part B together, come up with your epoxy grout. This particular one is a 2-gallon unit, so you're going to take 2 of these for one of these. Then we have a smaller unit that goes 1 to 1. And we have a very small unit for design like backsplashes and countertops. It's less than 1 gallon. So you have to worry about burning a big unit or something like that. Okay? Now what Corey is going to do, we're going to talk a little bit more about the application of the CEG Lite in commercial jobs and things like that. But what Corey's going to do, he's going to show you about the workability of this product. We have a 6x6 quarry tile board that is abrasive. We did not do anything to this board. In fact, we haven't even dusted it off. Okay? We didn't pre-seal it. We have not used a grout release on this at all. And we're going to show you how well this spreads, how it settles into the joint, and how well it cleans up without doing a thing to the tile first. Normally, with this particular type of product, we would recommend that it's either pre-sealed or you use a grout release because epoxy grout sticks like crazy. Okay? So we're going to show you a few cleanup methods and tricks that will get you on board with this product and you guys will actually love it. Corey, take it over.
Morning. Am I on? The one thing you want to do if you're new with epoxy grouts, I know some of you have used them before, but just in general, look at it as a kind of a different approach than if you're using a cement-based grout. Anything you can do to help yourself, and there are just a few little tips that will help. And I'm just kind of dusting the tile off right now. If you know you have an unglazed or a porous tile, it's a good idea to either seal it. But with this, we find unless it's a real open pore type tile, it's really not even necessary. What you don't want to do is use a real wet sponge and go over it to where you're actually getting water kind of puddling down into the joints. All epoxies have a little bit of a flowable property, so as much as you can do when you're installing the tile, try to alleviate, a lot of the voids where you have trowel ridges, because, if it has a lot of time to, settle in, they can kind of sink into those joints. So be conscientious as you're packing it into the joints. Really get it full. Don't do a real quick spread, because you can get a joint that looks pretty full, but you might have some air voids underneath it. So really get it packed in. little tricks we've figured out is trying to get a real full joint, dragging it off a little slower. You can all come in closer if you care to see a little bit. Drag it on slower. It kind of puffs up the joint, so it gives you a real nice full joint, as opposed to if I'm just going like this, you know, sometimes it'll, you know, tear or pull away. If you really go a little bit slower, it packs the joints in real full, kind of puffs them up, it gives you a real nice full joint. That way when you start your sponging process or your scrubbing process, you're already kind of washing it out if you're already kind of flush with the tile. Good idea to go at it from a couple of angles, and that way you know you're kind of packing it in real good. Getting as much of the excess grout off the face of the tile leaves you with a lot less work, a lot less residue when you start your scrubbing or your sponging process. This has a little bit of a greasy feel to it, and what we found is something that will really help to kind of break down that greasy film off the face of the tile. You can just use like a neutral base cleaner or something that has a little bit of a degreaser. Any general tile and grout cleaner, just spritz it. But for this, I'm just going to kind of emphasize how easy this is. I'm just going to go ahead and get most of this off. Just clean it with clean water. A lot of times on job sites, you know, especially if you're on a commercial job site, you're not going to have hot water available to you. But using hot water, that's another one of the things that'll aid in your cleanup. Just sort of softens that residue a little bit easier, makes it easier to clean. Another one of the differences in an epoxy, compare it to a cement-based grout. With cement-based grouts, you're always kind of trying to control the amount of water you're using, because too much water will kind of dilute your color, it weakens it, you run the risk of running, you know, washing the grout out of the joints. This, a little bit more water actually kind of helps. What you're going to do is, I'm going to literally just grab this soft enough, I'm literally just steering this. You don't want to grip it to where it pinches it, because that's going to dig into the joints. You want to keep that as soft, as flat as you can. Just literally kind of go softly. That will just naturally shape those joints right where you want them to be. Again, I'm doing this real easy. I'm not gripping it. I'm not pushing down hard at all. What that's doing, that's kind of breaking down that first, you know, thick haze, or that thick residue, any of the bulk that was left behind from the grout float. That's all you need to do with that. And again, pull this up here so you can kind of see what I'm doing with the sponge and the water. Now again, with cement-based grout, you'd want to be really wringing this sponge out. I'm going to wring this out, but leave a little bit of water. You want a little water weight on it. Again, a little bit of a film kind of helps to smooth out the joint. If you go too dry, it has a tendency to want to kind of dig into the joint. This actually cleans off pretty easily. This I don't think is considered one of the easiest tiles to clean up when you're using an epoxy. It's a metal, you know, it has the metal abrasive bits in it. This cleans it up real good. And it is just a different approach. Now, doing a towel drag method, especially if you have, you know, real large commercial jobs, you know, you got a lot of square footage. You can see how doing it with, you know, a sponge like this, you're not making very good headway. A lot of guys will actually even use big blankets or, you know, beach towels, but just to kind of show you what that does and how it can kind of speed it up. Again, I'm going to wring a little bit of this water out, but I'm leaving some of the weight in it. These are just microfiber towels. These work great. You don't have to use microfiber towels. Just drag that off. Nice thing about this is to wait around here for 5 minutes or so, and once this dries off, you'll see it is perfectly clean, 100% residue free. And so hopefully this will kind of take a little bit of the scare out of epoxy grouts, because a lot of contractors just don't want anything to do with it just because of the cleanup, and it's a little more of a hassle. So you're turning away a lot of money though. So hopefully this kind of opens up your eyes to maybe dabbling in it a little bit. All right.
The other neat thing about the CEG Lite being a lightweight material on your vertical applications, if you're going to put a wall tile up, your vertical applications, the glass beads makes it lightweight enough for it has a no slip on the wall. You can pack your grout joints on the wall, you don't have to worry about sagging out and redoing the grout joint all the time. We've got a little video that will demonstrate this, so go ahead and roll that video.